I think being Tongan American, we're much more open-minded than those back in the islands. Um, and I think it has to do a lot with self-identity, how you identify yourself. We are all Tongan, but not a lot of Tongans here in America claim their Tongan side. They would just claim wherever they're from. So, I know a Samoan guy from EPA, and I always call him Uso. We call each other Tokos, we call each other Uso. So I'll be like, "What's up,
Yeah.
Us?" But he doesn't prefer that name. He prefers to call
Mm-hmm.
himself Rogue, because Rogue is it's a name. If you're from EPA, that's what they call each other, kind of like a bro. So he
Okay.
identifies as a Rogue instead of a Uso. Um, so I think being American Tongan, we definitely deal with this American lifestyle that Islanders don't deal with. Our parents came from the islands, from dirt, natural nature, all loving, and then we come to America and they put guns in their sons' hands, they put drugs in their hands, they give them this whole American lifestyle that Islanders are not. We're just not used to. That's not us. And one of the main things that it's part of that
Yeah.
is the street life. Tongans out here are saying nigga. We ain't black, but we out here saying nigga. We're out here saying the N word. So
Yeah.
being American Tongan, it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot, and I think it's just us trying to really figure out who we are in America as a Tongan, especially as a female. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
standards we need to live up to, and
Yep.
it's one day at a time.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to jump in?
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying on that, and I agree. It's also like how they grew up too. It's the area that they grew up. It's also just like the Migos. You know what I mean? You hear the Migos saying the N word all the time, but they're not. They're not black. It's also like the environment that they grow up in. Um, like I moved out here, and I kind of got into the lifestyle, and like trying to fit in and trying to blend in with my environment. That kind of like shifted my way of thinking as well, and my way of going out, going about my life, out here in Oakland. Um, like I used to speak pidgin all the time, like, oh, sapara, you know what I mean? Like, cause I came from the islands, I
Yeah.
came from Hawaii, so I had that thick accent coming out here, and then just realizing that wasn't cool, and like you're constantly getting made fun of and stuff like that. You kind of have to like change up, or like kind of like reinvent yourself a little bit just to kind of fit in with everybody, so you kind of pick up on the slangs and all of that. you know it's not always no saba. It's the N word now. you know it depends on the environment that you're in, I guess. you know Coming from the islands is different. I see some of the some of the fobs that are coming from the islands. They're trying to fit in too, and they're trying to change their lifestyle to try to fit their environment, because they don't want to be judged because of the way they speak, or the way they act, or because like growing up, they probably didn't care about the way they dress or the way they talk, and then coming out here is a really judgmental area, being American, and it's different. It's a whole different vibe when you come into somewhere new. So like, I guess trying to find your identity also um also has to do with your environment, where you're staying at now, how things are run now, how people are thinking in this part of society, versus being back there in the islands. And I think we just lost Will. I don't know. But should we just like wait a little bit? Because yeah, but Yeah, but I feel like it's also has to do with our environment and where we're growing up at. Because I know in different parts of the U.S., not every Tongan is the same. You know what I mean? I know a few Tongans in like Idaho or Washington, Oregon. They all live a different lifestyle. You expect them, you know, to be a certain way, but when
Are we good? Are we live again?
we're laughing, we're laughing.
All right. Yeah, Monica, do you want to jump in? I know you haven't got a chance to say something
Sure.
on the last topic.
Yeah. What does it mean to be Tongan? Tongan American. It's I don't know. It's weird because I've lived in Washington and then I've lived here. And when I was in Washington, even when I travel outside of different states, if you don't know what Tongans are, one, because we're very small, under 1%, actually below 1%. Polynesians in general is at 1%. So
Yep.
they'll mistaken you for somebody else or for something else. I usually get mistaken for some type of African American or mixed or whatnot. And I don't know, being Tongan American is just we're kind of just out here and really small. And so in the states where there's not many Polynesians, they'll ask me, "Oh, what are what are you?" And I'll say what I am, and they'll be like, "Okay, what is that?" So,
Yeah.
it's confusing, I think. I think that most of us are out here and trying to find ourselves in other cultures, and that's normal. I mean, we're so small, right? So it just makes sense that, some of us gravitate towards one place, others gravitate towards another. To me, race is political. Because I think I've mentioned that before on your podcast. Race is political. Why is it political? Because I've met people in my life that are from totally different region of the planet that look like they could be like my first cousin or some shit. So I know it is political.
Yeah.
I know it is. But our society now, we base it on it. We base everything on it. It makes us feel more comfortable if we know what that person is. If we don't know what race that person is, then we can't stereotype them to feel like we will know who they are. I don't know if that makes sense. But people do it all the time. So being Tongan, I was raised by a single mother, so honestly, like being Tongan American is, I don't know if that was ever accepted in our culture, so
Yeah.
all I can say is, be who you are, regardless. It sucks though, because like sometimes when I'm around Tongan or Islander people, they'll expect me to think a certain way. And that just wasn't my environment. I'm not gonna pretend that it was. So, I think that your character should, you should
Does that make you feel
build your
uncomfortable sometimes?
character. Huh? Does it make me feel uncomfortable? No, because I
No,
already
say
expect it.
when you're around Tongans and then they have that.
They have that, if they ask you like what's your, who your parents are, and I'll have to tell them, and they'll look at me like I'm strange because I take my mom's last name. But that's based off of Christianity belief. We don't really know what we were before that, so I can't really say that's how we are. That's our culture. We feel that way because really, I really don't know what our culture was before Christianity came to the island. So I can't really sit here and say it's our culture to feel that way, or to feel like there's there's certain rules to our culture, because a lot of those rules have been switched up when the missionaries came to Tonga. but none of us ever really asked that question, because it's a hard question to answer.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my input.
That was good. So no, I think for just listening to everybody, I think the biggest words I heard was like self-identity. Monica said, I know that's what Peti said, and then Monica, you said being yourself. I think for me is like because I know I think all you guys were all born and raised in America. But of course I grew up in Tonga, then I moved here. I think one of the hardest things I think you guys all said was just self-identity, trying to figure out what does it mean of being Tongan, right? Because I remember when I first came into this country, I'm fascinated by American culture, and I love American culture. That's why that was always my dream to move out here. So when I got here, I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with the vision.
Mm-hmm.
I love the opportunity that's here. I started hanging around other cultures, the Ba'alangis, and just listening to, different perspectives towards life and different ways of thinking. Like you said, Monica, there's a different ways of thinking. And that's for me, for being myself, I was more attracted to that. But there was a part of me that felt like that I had to stay Tongan, like just that Tongan mentality, just be like everybody else. So because that was like my pride, that I felt like there's something inside of me that made me feel like that I didn't want to lose my Tongan side, and also just to please the people, my friends and my family, that I wasn't too Balang or too American. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then I realized, look, this is who I am, and then, I know there's a traditional mode of what they expect Tongans to do, but I realized that being Tongan American is just I think Joe said your environment plays a big part, not only of the culture but your personality. So if you grew up in a certain area, whatever music and culture and you grew up in, that's going to be a part of your personality.
Oh yeah.
And the way you dress, the way you think, the way you speak, and then that culture you grew up in, that personality you develop may not be the same personality as the old traditional Islander mentality. And I think that's what the struggle is for a lot of people and for a lot of kids that grow up here, trying to please their parents or be that Tongan boy and girl, traditional Tongan boy and girl. But the thing is, their personality is different, if that makes sense. What do you guys think?
I think it's just I think it's interesting because, like I said before, like, just in history itself, when missionaries came to Tonga, things started to change. Our culture has been somewhat molded in a sense, right? So, for me to say that, that these, if a group of people are saying that this is the way Tongans are, right? I don't know if I can actually believe that. I don't know if I can believe that. And I'm always going to question it. Why? Because that's who I am.
Yeah.
That's my nature. I question everything. So, if somebody were to tell me, like, before, the missionaries came, this is what we did, then I can research it and I can say whether that's true or not. But that's just me.
Yeah.
This is my opinion, and this is a safe place to say my opinion. And people may not agree, and that's okay. But that's what I'm going to say right now. Is it's hard for me to say that, what other people do, it's a social contract. Like, what other people do, just because I don't do what they're doing, right? Is that really what our ancestors did before that, right? Is that? I don't know. We have to question that. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Let me ask everybody real quick. What? Oh, go ahead. Go, Joe. You want to say something?
I was just gonna add on to what you guys was talking about, like, the Christianity and like not knowing, like, what we were before. Is that's when, like, the stories come in. You know what I mean? Like the stories that our parents tell us. The stories that we grew up on. Like, I know there's a cool story about the missionaries that came to Tonga and baptizing the first king. and the king doubted like everything that the missionaries were saying, doubted his God, doubted, what he believed in. So the king took him out, on a ship, took him out into the middle of the ocean, and then told him, this is my God right here. He's swimming around you, and tossed him in there. And he said, if your God is really stronger than my God, then he wouldn't eat you. You know what I mean? And it's funny because like every time I think about like, our like who we were before, I keep going back to the Moana movie. I keep going back to the Moana movie when they gotta go find the heart of, what was it, Tafiti or something like that. So like it kind of takes me back to that, and like it's cool to hear like those stories, and then that kind of like solidify like some of our past as well, of how we came to be as we are today. There's those stories that our grandparents tell us, a story that our parents are still trying to tell us, and it's good for us to pass that down as well, to not just just because we live out here in America, it doesn't mean like we can't know our history, and we can't know who we are, at the root, at the source, and those stories are crazy. They have a lot of those stories in Tonga where they believe in like demigods and all these things, and just hearing that one story about how the first king got baptized because the missionary survived being tossed into the water full of sharks, and he swimming back to shore and told him, I'm alive, I'm here, you got to keep your promise now, we got to baptize you. So that's one of the cool things about our history too, as Tongans, and knowing who we are, as a people, and that always sticks with me too, and how loyal we are too as a people, and keeping our promises. The king didn't have to get baptized, he could have just said, you know what, forget you, I'll toss you somewhere else and have them eat you over there, but being who we are and being the friendly islands, we keep to our word and our promises. And that's a cool thing about our culture, and the people that we are is, we're loyal people, and and I'm proud of that. I'm proud, to be Tongan. I'm also proud to be American. I mean, I'm out here, this is no other place than America, and there's no place better for opportunity and for freedom than, where we are right now. You can't do what we do here any place else. So I feel like in a way our culture is kind of like interchanging, and it's constantly evolving, but going back to our root and like hearing those stories and passing those stories on, and reminding our future generations that who we are as a people, and I feel like that will also help out as as we grow as a people here in this country.
Yeah, when I think of the word Tongan American, yeah. when I think of the word Tongan American, for me, can you guys hear me? You guys hear me? Yeah. You guys all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you, Will.
Okay. No, when I think of I want to make sure I didn't fall off. No, when I think of the word Tongan American, what Tongan American means to me, when I think of America, I think of the history of America, where people, immigrants came here to America and they wanted to start a new life and a new beginning, and lived, and build out their own destiny and live out their own life, their own dreams. So to me, I feel like being Tongan American means that we're still proud Tongans, but we're more focused on our own individuality and our own uniqueness of what makes us unique. I'm Tongan. I'm a proud Tongan. I'm a straight fob. I have my fob tendencies, I still dress like a Bob sometimes. I mean, that's how I was raised and comfortable with. But I'm also aware of my own unique thoughts and perspective and desires and things I want to do for my life that may be outside the realm of what traditional and what most Tongans do. And I think that's what I believe what a Tongan American is we're still proud Tongan. We love our culture, we love our people, but at the same time, we're like Joe said, we're American. So we have our own mindset. We're more outspoken. We have our own opinions of how we see things. And I think that's what Tongan American means to me is is breaking the mold of breaking the expectations of what people expect of us, how we should live our life, how we should do things, how should we pursue and do certain things in the way we live our life, but just being ourselves. So I wanted to ask everybody, and I want to start with the girls too, because I know boys and girls, when you guys were growing up, what was the type of person that your family or people that wanted you? I'm just interested to hear that different perspective. And I want to start out with Peti. When you were growing up, what did your parents expect you and want you to turn out to be? What wanted you to be, and kind of compare it to the person you are now. I want to talk about that real quick. Peti?
Okay. Well, that's pretty. I'm good.
Yep. I can hear you. Yep.
It's a pretty simple answer. My parents just wanted me to be successful, have a really good future. It's more of my mom specifically. She really wanted me to be this Angalele girl, always going to church, doing Tongan daughter things, which is just when people are coming over, make them some tea, do the bread and the butter, and just certain things like that. Today, I'm still pursuing my education. And that's something my parents wanted. I'm still trying to get my life together. That's something what they wanted. But it's just my mom's expectations for me. She doesn't like the fact, I smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. I smoke marijuana. And my mom doesn't like the fact. There's some times where some older Tongan women would see me smoking and they would go tell my mom, hey, I seen your daughter doing this. And then my mom would come to me and she'd be so mad. She's like, someone came up and talked to you about me. And it's just me and my mom's relationship. I'm trying to you have to care because that's your daughter and you want to protect her and don't want anybody to judge her or say anything about her. So that's the only expectation. It's just my mom trying to make me this Angalele Tongan girl, but I'm not. That's it.
Well, I mean, you're still Angalele though, right?
Yeah, of course. I think that's the Tongan in us, the hospitality person. Yeah. But it's just the other stuff that I can't. I don't drink. Hey, woohoo. But it's just we shouldn't judge each other if we do that stuff,
Yeah. Does there when your mom I know sometimes as Tongan women, dang, I just lost my train of thought. Dang. My bad, guys. I had a question. Had a good question. I was just gonna ask you.
It's okay.
And it just lost my mind.
And it's also.
Hey, so Monica, go ahead.
No, I was just saying my wardrobe too. It's not very up to my mother's standards. If we go to
gotcha.
We're supposed to wear dresses and stuff. I'm always wearing pants. And then I told you before, I'm very immodest. I love showing skin.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way,
that was my question. So I know we shared it last time. You're really expressive. You like to put yourself out there. So was that hard for you when you growing up? Was that one of the expectations they expected you to do to cover up and?
Just the wardrobe wise.
And then you had to. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Monica?
I think
when you were growing up.
So just growing up, single parent home, with my mom and her mom, my grandma, they just needed me to do well. They just was like, my mom's very straightforward. She's a very straightforward woman. I respect her for that. I learned so much from her from being that, but she just was like, you just need to come up in the world because the world's unfriendly. It's very unfriendly, and
Yeah.
if you don't come up, nobody's gonna bring you up. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with that being said, it always stayed through me throughout like years growing up and stuff. Like I was just always trying to climb. And with, I think with just Tongan girls in general, with like my other cousins that I know are female and, you know, live in a household where, you know, they have both Tongan parents, like there's a lot of pressure there, you know, and I hella get that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with my mom and my grandma, they were just like, you know, like you gotta like make the right decisions. If you don't make the right decisions, you know, they're gonna lock you up. Straight up. You're gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
You're gonna get pregnant and you're not gonna succeed. It was just like one of those three. So it wasn't really like I have these, you know, these aspirations for you. It was just like they're pretty much just warning me of like what can happen if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and that's a lot of pressure, but it made me better. So, but I always remembered my mom being like, you know, we'll like pass by a lady that's like, you know, homeless or something. And she'll be like, see, that's what's gonna happen. If you don't get your shit together, there you go. Maybe it was the time, I don't know. Maybe it was her, or maybe she's just like my grandma, because my grandma just the same way. Because right after my grandma would say that to me, she'd go and give the lady on the street $5. See, this is what happen if you don't put it together. And honestly, what can I say about that? I mean, there's a lot of pressure, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm thankful. Like I can't not be thankful for the truth in a sense, only because I know the statistics of women of color, you know, and I am considered in America, yes, I'm Tongan, but in America, I am considered a woman of color.
Yeah, we're all still colored people at the end of the day.
Yeah. You know, if you walk, you know, so a lot of people don't know what Tongans are. We're very, very unique people. So when you say that, when you say, oh, I'm Tongan, they're like, oh, that's very unique. But for some of us, not all of us, because we all look different. Tongans were just a hybrid of people. We look all different types, you know. But for myself, yeah, that's kind of how it was. So, you know, yeah. But that's me.
Yep. Hey, Fetty, did you want to add to that? I saw you posted a comment about the pregnancy. Did you want to add to that, Fetty?
I was just telling Monica, how could I forget? Our parents did not want us to get pregnant. That was one of the number one things a Tongan parent doesn't want for their daughter is for her to get knocked up, especially if she's not even married or if she's hella young. That's what it is. And I just wanted.
I know, but no, it's funny that it's funny you said that. But then it's funny when you really look at like a lot of the Tongan families. Most of us, we have like 6, 7, 8 kids, and our parents had kids really young. So I just find it funny when they tell us like they don't have children early, but then they're like that's happening all over, every family. So Joe, what are your thoughts, man? When you were growing up,
my thoughts about expectations. Well, it's kind of different with boys, in the family. A lot of us get treated like little princess, and
That's true.
It's
I'm not
funny.
lying, that's true.
It's funny because like girls get treated differently. I guess is I don't know. I guess it's because the mom understands what what goes on around. Um, I guess they just don't want to get talked about. I guess I don't know. I don't know what it is, but boys get treated differently, like really differently from the girls. I know growing up, my sister was like, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't go here. Sometimes my mom, she checks up on me, but like I'm constantly like doing stuff, and going out and stuff like that, and it's not really like a big issue. You know what I mean? As if for the girls to go out and stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess they, I know like you guys are talking about pregnancy too, um, and like families having like all their daughters and stuff like that just getting pregnant out of nowhere, and it's crazy, and I guess like our parents sometimes don't want us to be in that statistic too, to where a lot of our daughters are getting pregnant off of wedlock, you know what I mean, and not really planning, to start a family and stuff like that. So I kind of understand from that point of view, but I feel like if you were to like lock your kids up, eventually they'll be curious, and it's gonna get out of control, and it's human nature to be out there and explore, do just being curious and exploring new things and stuff, and locking kids up is not it's not always it's always a good thing, and you see it everywhere. You think like um the most perfect girl out there is doing the right thing. Next minute, she's over here at the bar, and you see her, and you're like, oh, okay. And then there goes there goes the angel, there goes the halo. And the guys see a lot of that stuff because we're usually the ones that's like always out there, and then when we see that, you're just like, oh, so I guess what I heard is different from what I see, you know what I mean? And it also comes down to what they probably experienced a lot of this stuff, and they were probably being judged when they were younger too, on how to dress and how to I guess how to live their life. It's not, I don't know, it's not a simple thing to dissect, you know what I mean? Because you can always do something differently, but it doesn't always end up the way you planned it, you know. So always plan for the worst, but I guess with our Tongan cultures, it's hard for parents to let go of their daughters, knowing that they gotta choose the right husband, be the successful woman and stuff like that. All they want for the boys is to work and be able to start a family, pretty much. That's pretty much all the expectations I'm getting is, a lot of it is just marriage. When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna, that girl that you're bringing around, when are you gonna, introduce her, stuff like that. And the expectation for guys are a lot different from the girls, and I can't speak on how the girls feel, you know what I mean, I have a sister and all that, and it's and I see it too, it's different, the way they're treated and the way we're treated. They're supposed to be on top of everything, making sure that the home is a home, and making sure that wherever they go that they are dressed properly, and that they you know, present themselves well. You know what I mean? That they dress well and stuff like that. Well, for the boys, we just gotta, we can just put on whatever and just head out. And we're not really being tracked like that. And it's almost like, um, you know, I don't know. I guess the boys are just different. We're just different. We're just different. We just do whatever we want. But yeah, I guess that's how it is with our with the culture. But that's some good points with the girls. I really see that around. The expectations for you guys to be perfect and stuff like that. It's not always a good thing. But sometimes you just gotta take the good and kind of leave out some of the bad. Guess that's it.
Yeah. I mean, just to end off on this topic, I think the one thing I kind of do notice in the Tongan cultures is, our parents, they use their kids as their way to, that's like their, because we're so worried about what people think and keeping up with the Joneses. So like, our parents use us, their kids, as their way of defining if they're doing well in life. If your kids are doing well, that means their family's doing well. If the kids are doing bad, then that means their family is doing bad. So that's why I feel like there's a lot of pressure, and I do notice there's more pressure to the girls more than the guys. Just in my experience, and my sisters had a lot of pressure, but for me, my parents just let me do my own thing.